Welcome to Freedom Forest. Today's video is all about garlic. I love garlic and I love cooking, so we grow heaps of the stuff, and we also grow enough to make sure we can save our seed for the following year. Today it's the 22nd of June, just after the summer solstice, and that to me always means it's time to harvest garlic. As you can see, this smaller French garlic is starting to yellow on its leaves, and it just looks like it's going a little bit over. That's always a good indication that it is ready to pull out. It's best to harvest your garlic when the ground has been a little bit drier, but obviously we can't control the weather, so just do what you can. Try not to squeeze or pull the hard neck of the garlic too much, because you want to keep that nice and firm, because it will help the garlic store better, especially if you're going to plait it once it's dried. So I'm just pulling back the wood chips first, as we always do, and then I can dig into the soil below a little bit harder. Allowing lots of space when I put my trowel into the ground to make sure I don't dig it into the garlic, and I'm only easing it out with my hand. I'm not actually tugging it. The force is coming from underneath. I've got the biggest bulb so far from the Mersley Whites. It's the Whopper! Look at this one, it's another Whopper! 3 Whoppers in a row. Thank you very much, Mersley White and the Isle of Wight Garlic Farm, for providing the original garlic which this seed has come from. Really, really pleased with what I've got so far. I love Garlic Harvest Day. It really is one of my most favourite days on the gardening calendar. I've finished harvesting all the French garlic and Mersley White now, and then I've just pulled out a couple of testers of the elephant garlics, and they're looking pretty good. So I've decided today I'm going to harvest the elephant garlic as well. I put the trowel in a nice long way away from the garlic, because these bulbs can be pretty big, and all I'm trying to do is lever and loosen the soil from underneath them. What I don't want to do is stab the bulb with my fork or trowel that I'm using to dig them up, because if you damage your garlic bulb, then it won't store as well. It's going to be a big one. Woohoo! Oh my gosh. And that is why I love Garlic Harvest Day. Just look at the size of that elephant garlic. That's a beauty. You'll find with a lot of hard neck varieties of garlic that they develop these long garlic scapes, which will turn into flowers. Now it's best, as soon as you see these forming up, to cut them right off, because that will help to put the last bit of growing energy back down into the bulb. As you'll see from a lot of the other garlic here, I chopped these off quite some time ago, but the odd one slipped through and went unnoticed. If you chop these scapes off when they're nice and young and tender, you can also use them in cooking. You can chop the stem up into little pieces and add them into any dish that you want a garlic flavour, or put small parts of the stem and flowers straight into your stir fries and you'll get a lovely, lovely garlic flavour added to your dishes and no waste. And here you have it, my 2020 elephant garlic harvest. Look at this lot. So now all my garlic's been out drying in the sun for a while. The next job is to snip off all of the long bits of root. This will help the root to dry out more. And then I'll also peel off any muddy or wet looking bits of skin, just to keep them a bit cleaner. Once I've gone through and done that with all of the garlic I've harvested today, I'll bundle it up into size order and hang it up to dry. I will of course save all of the biggest and best bulbs of garlic to use as my seed garlic for when I replant in October. It's the 26th of September, and around the end of this month I always like to start planting out my garlic, my elephant garlic at least anyway. As you can see, this bed behind me has got my courgettes in it, and they've been growing brilliantly this summer. It's been a great season for them. We've had an absolute abundance, but at this time of the year they are very nearly over. So what I've actually done is strip back all of the leaves, because as you can see they're getting quite a lot of mildew. I'll probably only get 1 or 2 more harvests out of these plants, and with more rain due in the next couple of weeks, these plants will probably deteriorate fast now. So I've stripped them back, and whilst they're still finishing here in the soil, I'm actually going to start planting the garlic already. Here's all my garlic that I saved from harvest in June. It's been drying out in the shed since then, so it's all lovely and crisp and dry and looking good. I've got 2 varieties here, elephant garlic from the Isle of Wight And then I've got another variety which is still quite a large garlic called Mersey White. So now what we're going to do is break apart all of the bulbs into individual cloves, and then we'll see how many of each variety we've got to plant. Let's do the elephant first. As you can see, it's quite windy here today, so everything's trying to blow away. And when we break these off, we do want to try and keep as much of the wrapper on as possible, because that will help protect them a little bit longer whilst we put them in the ground, when they're first in the ground. I did try and size up and save all of the biggest bulbs and cloves so that we can replant the biggest cloves back into the ground, and as you can see there, we've got some quite nice size ones just from the first bulb that I've broken open. I'd really like to eat these, but we've got to keep production going. Just three cloves in that one, so you can see probably the average is only about 3 or 4. If you get really good size cloves, it's only really 3 or 4 cloves you get per elephant garlic. So 1, 2, 3. 3 big ones and 2 little ones on that bulb. Let's just hope I've saved enough to plant as much as I want to plant for the coming season. I'm really getting through the garlic at home, what I've saved for eating. Gosh, we're just using it in everything. I just love it so much, and it's so good for you. It's like really poignant moments in the gardening calendar for me. Garlic harvest, garlic planting. It really is a great crop because there's not that many crops that you can plant at this time of year. So to know that you can just get this in the ground and pretty much just leave it there for the whole of the winter, it just really excites me. Hi Mills, come to help or get in the way. I know which one really. Gosh, we've got some whoppers. Hey, leave it. It's Dan in the background, being busy as always. Gosh, look at the size of that. That's why I just love the elephant garlic. It's just, it's so satisfying growing it. And it always amazes people when they see the size of what you've grown. Go on then, out you go. I have to watch Murph. He eats anything and everything. He'd be sneaking in, stealing these cloves if I'm not careful. Last one, let's see what we've got. Right, let's have a count up. 75, wow. 75 cloves of elephant garlic in there. I'm really happy with that because, you know, I just looked at it when I saw it hanging in the shed a minute ago, and I look and I think, oh, if I saved enough, have I estimated the right amount? And I think last year I planted between 50 and 60 cloves. I'll have to check on that. And obviously each year I'm trying to save a little bit more, scale up the production, and also obviously save enough to increase the production for seed, but save enough so we've got a year's worth of garlic. Because I do find when you've dried it out really well, my garlic lasts a full year. I can still be eating the previous year's garlic when I'm harvesting the following lot, and that's just perfect. That's great. And then we'll do the same with the Mersey White. So they're all really nice and dry, and they've all stored well. No, back. And sit down, sit. Good girl, lay down. Good girl.
Oh, what's your garlic, Mills? What's your feet? I can't do this and play with you. Right, nearly done. 2 to go. So it looks like we'll have plenty to plant back of this stuff. And in fact, what I'll probably end up doing is just planting back the bigger cloves and setting aside all the smaller ones. So this is the first bulb I've come across which has got some kind of insect damage to it. I see something crawling around in there, so I'll just have a bit of a look. Yeah. Put those to the side. It's got a bit of damage. I had one year where I had earwigs in some of the centres, but the actual cloves themselves hadn't been damaged at all. Yeah, most of these are fine. I'll put them in the pile with the slightly smaller ones though, and I can decide whether we need those or not. That one's a bit soft. Yeah, so that one's not stored so well. It's obviously got something in it. I'll keep those middle ones for cooking. I won't worry about that one. Okay, better luck with this one, hopefully. Okay, so this is the pile with all the bigger stuff in. So I'll just get the bigger few out of this pile. And then what's left here can go back home for cooking. Probably about 130 cloves of the Mersey White to plant in this bag here. And then a nice pile of extra garlic to take home. I'm going to start with the elephant garlic up this end of the bed. It does get the most sun up this end, and as the elephant garlic is my favourite, it's got to get the absolute best growing conditions. So I've got my bag of cloves here, and this bag weighs a ton. It's so heavy with these great big fat cloves in. So I've got my string lines here just to give me some rough guidance, because it's going to be a little bit more difficult planting round the courgettes, so this will just help me keep them on track for the planting. So I'm just going to work my way along these rows now until I've got them all in. Good morning. I'm back here again with my ginormous elephant garlics to hopefully finish off planting out the garlic. It's a lovely sunny morning and end of September, and it is a lot less windy than when I was filming 2 days ago, so hopefully the sound quality will be a bit better and you can join me for some elephant garlic planting. So just pull back the wood chips to our compost layer, and then my dibber, start making a nice big dip in the compost, as we want to get these big elephant garlic cloves in reasonably deep. Now I did plant them a bit too deep a couple of years ago. It was fine, the garlic was fine, but it was just actually harder getting them out when they were a lot deeper in the soil. So I'm really only worried to make sure they're, you know, approximately twice their depth into the soil. And so That's a good size one. So he can go in there, snuggled down. Just put some of the loose back over. And then I'm just popping a handful of fresh compost on top just to give it a little boost. And then pull the rest of the compost and wood chip back over. And then I'll just use my hand span as an approximate guide for distance. Just want to be a little bit careful where I'm placing myself because I'm still working around the courgettes, and I think we've got a couple of harvests left from those, so I don't want to go trampling over them too much just yet. So I just try and carefully place myself around them. We've got a random carrot growing here. I think 2 winters ago, maybe even last winter, I had carrots growing in this bed here, and a couple of them obviously ran to seed, and this one is the result of that. So we'll just leave him there. An extra carrot, it's always a bonus. So we're on to the last few elephant garlic now, and hopefully they might just fit in this gap. I might have 1 or 2 cloves left over, but perhaps we'll just dot them around somewhere else, which we like to do to just to spread the crops out a little bit. But yeah, you'll see the ease in which I'm getting these into the ground. I'm pulling back with soil and I'm making the hole for these ginormous elephant garlics largely just with my fingers. And that is obviously due to the fact that we do no dig here. So this is literally just layers of deep compost and then wood chip that went onto the soil here about 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, it just makes it really, really easy to work with. So you can see I'm just using really basic hand tools. I haven't actually even used my little trowel that I have got here. Yeah, and I'm just using the dibber to sort of start off making the hole, and then loosening the soil back to make a nice big bed for these massive elephant garlics to go in. And the compost that I'm using here, the compost that we have access to, is just it's largely just municipal waste compost, so it's nothing special, but it certainly works for us. We have great growing results from it. The plants seem to like it, which is the main thing. And the other thing you might notice as well, I've just planted up this row here, and I'm kneeling over the beds and I'm walking over the beds, and I'm really not worried about it. And that is the other great thing about no dig, and particularly when you have the wood chip top on, it just doesn't compact like traditional dug beds and dirt wood. The benefits of no dig are just endless. And there we go. So we should have, I reckon, approximately 75 elephant garlics planted into this bed. Hopefully they'll all grow nice and strong and give us an amazing crop of elephant garlic in June 2021. And all I'll do now, when these courgette plants are finished, I'll just cut them off so the roots stay in the ground, we won't disturb the garlic, and then that also will keep adding to this bed. As the roots break down, they will turn to compost too, and everything just keeps benefiting the soil. It's the 30th of November today, which is just over 8 weeks since I sowed my elephant garlic. And as you can see, I've got some really nice strong shoots coming through the soil already. So that is growing on really nicely. It's only been about 2 weeks since I planted out the other variety of garlic that I use, my soft-neck variety. So that's yet to start showing through the soil. I think the elephant garlic was about 6 weeks that started coming through at, but I guess it would depend how deeply you planted it into the ground as well. Hardneck garlic is best planted in the autumn, and softneck garlic can be planted from autumn right through till March. I like to get mine in nice and early, as I find I've always had great success doing it this way. And also you can get your bed space back sooner and start enjoying your garlic sooner. Today I've decided to do a little experiment with my elephant garlic. So this is a round. And a round is a clove, a massive clove that hasn't divided into a bulb. Now from my harvest in June, I had quite a few of these this year, about 20 of them in fact. And at the time I pulled them all out of the ground because I thought I don't want that happening again, or I don't want them not dividing again. I had planted a few of them last year, but I didn't keep track as to where I planted them to find out if they did divide and then grow on to form a proper bulb. Now supposedly if you plant these rounds, they are meant to form into an absolutely huge bulb of elephant garlic. So this year I've decided I'm going to plant 3 just behind me here, slightly separately to the rest of my elephant garlic, so I can keep track of how they come out when I harvest in the summer. And then I've put a stick at this end here, and I'm going to put another stick into the bed here just as a marker to remind me that I've planted stuff here. So we'll check back at harvest time and see how these have done. Thanks for watching and learning with us today. If you've watched this video right to the end, it means that you love garlic just as much as us. So please like this video, leave any questions or comments that you have below, and also help support our channel by hitting the subscribe button. We'll see you soon. Peace and plants!